There we go. All right, everyone, welcome. Happy Friday, by the way. My name is David Campbell. I'm a senior application specialist with Topcon Solutions, and for today, we are going to go through a full office to field workflow utilizing the Autodesk Construction Cloud and Magnet Enterprise. Now, before I dive too far into this, I want to tell you guys a little bit about us as Topcon Solutions. And it's going to help essentially explain a little bit of why we're here today, right? So Topcon Solutions, we are a direct sales retail division of Topcon Positioning Systems. And currently we have 13 brick and mortar locations in the US. Now, Topcon traditionally sold the products through a channel of independent specialty dealers since the early 2000s. And essentially, we've just changed our model. And the Topcon Solution Store represents this change as a consolidation of formerly independent dealers into a national manufacturer direct retail organization. But what does that mean? So what I want to talk about is how Topcon Solution Stores, we are a new modern model for servicing not only the civil construction, but also the vertical construction marketplace, the entire construction marketplace that a lot of our older independent dealers could not provide. Now, TSS, we have partnerships with Autodesk, with Bluebeam, with a lot of different software companies that we utilize to really try to get a complete solutions approach. Now, combining our leadership in precision measuring and positioning technology with Autodesk software, it allows us to connect everything together for our customers with world-class technical services, support, and training. And of course, our goal is to provide our customers with a truly complete solution for any project they face. So, getting into that, our agenda today is to talk about the integration between the Autodesk Construction Cloud and Magnet Enterprise and what that means for bridging the gap and truly connecting the office to field workflows. So the first part of this that I want to talk about is currently within construction, we see a lot of data silos, a lot of disconnected communication, whether it's the type of program that you're using or the published data, whether it's Rev 1, Rev 2, trying to stay along the lines of a updated project can be very difficult. And depending on who all places bids, what software they're using, a lot of this stuff can get really convoluted really fast. Now, based off of that, we also see a lot of siloed workflows. So in this case, I'm just showing the general contractor or the construction manager, the subcontractor, they're putting into a coordinated model. So they agree, they push it forward into the sub-trade field activity. That person goes ahead and essentially does their layout here, and they got to send that information back. So what happens when the owner and architect makes a change? Essentially, we start going through that entire process all over again, right? Which leads into this. We have a lot of challenges in construction today. We're seeing razor thin margins, tight schedules, that siloed information that we're talking about, but we're also combining that with distributed teams, uncertainty, and a current labor shortage. Now, the other pitfalls that we're seeing in construction is that 25% of costs are spent on rework, and then there are 10 million claims are filed, $10 million claims are filed each day in the US because of construction defects. Now, with everything getting tighter, you're going to see, and this is a big part of why I wanted to talk about this today. It's kind of why we named it the bridging the gap, right? There is a big data loss in between. You're going to see planning, design, and then hand over to construction, but then also with construction and operation. So there are gaps here every single phase that we see, whether it's someone utilizing a common data environment and try to getting everyone there, but also when the construction project itself kind of progresses, a lot of times the handover of that information gets lost, right? So what we're here to talk about today is starting to overcome those challenges that we're seeing in the construction industry. You're going to see increased collaboration. That is a huge help, a single source of truth. But a point that I want to make here on this one is that at this point, it's more important, I guess, we want to have more than just a single source of truth, right? We need to have that single source of truth. It needs to have the capability to integrate. That is a huge thing that we're seeing in today's industry and really with all of the different types of data that we see coming from a construction project. A single source of truth is amazing, but its capability to integrate with other systems makes it even stronger. Now, we need to also connect a 2D and 3D experience. If we can utilize that 3D information, that metadata from that model, it gives us a lot of benefit. Improved data accuracy, standardization, and digitization. So this is how we begin to start overcoming those challenges that we see. Now, I'm going to start off with the Construction Cloud. So what is the Autodesk Construction Cloud? At its core, the ACC is built on a common data environment, but it services so much more. You're going to see the coordination, operations, maintenance, commissioning, construction layout, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, and planning. So the main goal of the Autodesk Construction Cloud is to essentially be a part of that single source of truth, holding not just model information, but also, the drawings, photos, any cost items, assets that are tied to those models, or documents that are tied to those models. Now, what I wanted to show here is kind of the breadth of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. See, the big portion that we're going to talk about today, there's two pieces, two big ones I'm going to focus on. The document management. At its core, or at its base, this is where Autodesk Construction Cloud starts. It all starts with that document management, which gives us the document control, the versioning, approvals, and review workflows, things like that. But it essentially gives us that common data environment, that single source of truth for our project as it progresses, right? This a lot of times will hold our design within the actual design models within document management. But again, ACC and the breadth of it here gives us a little bit more to do with those models, those documents, those photos, things like that, such as within Autodesk BIM Collaborate here, it gives us design collaboration and model coordination. We're going to see some constructability reviews, Revit Cloud work sharing for civil and plant 3D, which again start giving us that synchronization of that data and the versioning control through document management. You're also going to see Autodesk Takeoff, which helps give us that quantification. But the two pieces I'm going to focus on today are going to be document management and build. Build is where you're going to see your project management start to expand off of the document management, in the sense that we have all of our models, we have the document information, but we also start combining RFIs, our submittals, meeting minutes, the contract creation or the budget tracking, change order tracking, quality planning, issue management. I mean, the list kind of goes on here, all the way down through commissioning, turnover, documentation, and that as-built, okay? So again, the two pieces that I wanted to focus on for today was kind of getting back to that single source of truth with docs. Docs, I know I've said it here just a second ago, but it allows us to organize, distribute, and share those files on a single connected document management platform, ensuring that your team members have access to the information that they need when they need it. Now, build, again, kind of pushes off of that, right? We start to utilize that information, that data in our construction workflows for our project management, our closeout, or the document management, cost management, and quality management, whether you're using issues, you're transitioning those issues over to RFIs or change orders, potential change orders, owner change orders, you name it. We start seeing a lot of connection here within the ACC. But there's one piece where we're kind of lacking in the ACC, and that's connecting to the hardware, connecting to the actual devices or the people that are going out in the job site and essentially utilizing this data for layout or scanning. Or machine control, right? There's a lot of different workflows that we essentially see that we can help, but we can't really connect to essentially up until well, I want to say probably few years ago now at this point. We have a direct integration with what is called Magnet Enterprise. Now, Magnet Enterprise, you're going to notice a lot of similarities here with the Autodesk Construction Cloud in terms of this is also built on a project-based structure. You have your user permissions, your roles, much like we have in our ACC. But we can also do simple data transfers, which I'm going to talk about in this, because essentially connecting the office to field, it doesn't really stop with just sending data out, right? We got to be able to pull that data back. So we're going to talk about that as well. We have a file viewer for PDFs, as well as a map to actually visualize not only the survey files, but even the projects or connected devices, which we're going to go into here in a few minutes. You can query your points, draw text in red lines, again, viewing those connected devices. You have that capability to archive and restore any of those projects. And just like ACC, we can create our project templates. But this is the big one here, right? Here down at the bottom, the integration with the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So that's the big piece that I wanted to talk about for this is, of course, that single source of truth, but expanding that with these integrations, the ability to integrate. So our field solutions here, whether it's Magnet Enterprise, well, it's Magnet Enterprise to, oh gosh, Magnet Field Layout, 3D MC, 3D Exchange, you kind of name it. This gives us the full capability to connect. Now, to show you guys, sorry, to show you guys the kind of breadth of Enterprise, I wanted to talk about this slide for a second in terms of improving our communication and our collaboration. Enterprise allows you to connect your field and your office teams with real-time access to your project data. Now, you can actually view connected devices and transfer real-time data. It's of course going to give you a visual map of your projects and those geo-referenced data sets, but you're going to see that it directly connects to Topcon's magnet field and office products. So when you start talking about, getting data out to the field, again, we're looking at field or magnet field layout. We're looking at the survey tools or that 3D exchange for getting in getting the TP3 that we need to send out for our machine control, or we got our 3D MC Pocket 3D. This is where essentially I'm going to say the rubber meets the road in this sense, where we have our design data and we connect it, and we can actually push that forward to the people who need it, whether it's someone out in the field doing layout or it's someone operating a piece of machinery, heavy equipment, things like that. We really start to see the benefit of this connection there. Now, I've got a few snapshots here that I wanted to kind of show you guys. And believe me, this isn't going to be a death by PowerPoint. I'm going to do a live demonstration here in a little bit. I just kind of wanted to show you some of these before we dive into it. So this is the layout, the user interface of Magnet Enterprise. When we first get in, kind of like it said there, you'll see that your projects right over here are actually geo-located. You can see those projects all across the United States or across the world, depending on, of course, where you're working. Now, the really cool thing about this is you're going to see the capability for members to connect to these different projects, again, no matter where they are. And when that happens, I mean, it's a beautiful thing because you're going to see your different connected devices. If you turn on the visibility, you can actually view these connected devices as they're moving around. You're going to see all of your different connected devices, but we actually also have, we also have real time, which I'm definitely going to show off here in this webinar in a little bit here. But also, then again, I wanted to talk about the integration to BIM 360 Docs. So you're going to see BIM 360 Docs right down here on the bottom. You can navigate to Docs, navigate to all of your projects, whether you've been invited or you're hosting that data. As long as you have the permissions to those folders, you're going to be able to access that data right here through Magnet Enterprise. And again, the benefit being, if I have those connected devices, I can instantly transfer that data to that device. Or I'm going to show you guys another way here in a minute. We actually give everyone the capability through this Magnet Enterprise connection to actually access BIM 360 or Autodesk Construction Cloud right from their handheld device. So in this case, if I go back up to the connected devices here, any of these FC6000s, if they're running Magnet Field Layout, 3D Exchange, what have you, they will actually be able to dive right into those project folders of BIM 360 Docs or ACC and get the project information, the layout information, whether it's just the CSV and the DWG, or if it's the MJF zip file. Okay. Now, I did kind of go to this one a little bit soon, but essentially I wanted to talk about a couple of the benefits of utilizing something like Magnet Enterprise, and one of those is Magnet Field Layout. Okay, the other one I'm going to talk about here in a second. We're going to focus more on that one for our second series in this webinar series. But for Magnet Field Layout, you're going to notice, again, we have our jobs plan. This is where the field goes to grab their data when they're out. And you'll notice right here is the Enterprise Cloud. So if we connect to that Enterprise Cloud, you're going to see right here project. We can either navigate to those projects that we saw within our enterprise interface, or again, we can connect right to BIM 360 and then or Autodesk Construction Cloud. I apologize, I keep going back and forth, but the nice thing about this integration is that it doesn't care whether it's an ACC project or it's a BIM 360 project. You're going to be able to see both of them there. So whether you've moved forward into ACC or you have some projects that are still running on BIM 360 docs, you're going to be able to utilize this information. It's not picking one or the other. Now, the other point that I wanted to make here is that you'll see I've stored like my electrical layout DWG, my CSV printed out right from Revit, and I've combined those into the MJF zip, which is essentially the magnet job file that's zipped together with our DWG and that CSV. Okay, so we have that direct integration wherever we are. As long as we have that connection, we can connect to Enterprise to pull our project data. Okay. Now, the other portion, again, I'm going to talk about this one more on the second series of our webinar, because we are going to focus a little bit on vertical construction here, but I did not want to leave this out. I wanted to put a little teaser up here, essentially. Magnet 3D Exchange. So if we have our alignments, our profiles, our points, if we have everything set up for, civil, whether you're using Civil, AutoCAD, what have you, we can connect right here, and you're going to see a little bit different type of connection here. Magnet 3D Exchange gives you the capability to either connect through Enterprise, and you can connect to your projects, which would be your Enterprise projects or BIM 360 ACC. But you're also going to notice you have that connection straight through the desktop connector as well. So if you're utilizing Autodesk Docs, you have that desktop connector installed, we can jump right into something like Magnet 3D Exchange, find our project, grab that information, translate everything over, and then you're going to see the possibility to connect further, also going out to the machine, such as something with SiteLink, right? Actually either connecting to that SiteLink server or pushing that TP3 data out to those operators. So again, we'll get further into that conversation for the next webinar. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into our demonstration here. So I'm going to navigate back over here, and I'm going to go through kind of build first in the ACC. So what I wanted to show here, again, you saw a lot of that data, but build in its kind of vastness, it allows us to track and create issues, our forms, photos, the RFIs, submittals, meetings, all that kind of stuff, as well as our construction schedule and tracking assets live from that BIM model. But it also gives us that capability because it's built right off of what it calls files here. But files is essentially docs. It's that document management, okay? And what you're going to see here is the capability to store that design information. So if I have my civil design, my architectural, my mechanical, those live models can be stored here, centralized, worked on. They're live work sharing models, or they can be something that's linked. So in this case, I know that I have my civil design team's stuff here. I have my points, the shape files, all this stuff ready to go to push out to that 3D Exchange. Or again, I have DWGs that I'm linking, RVTs, what have you, NWCs. A lot of this information, again, can be held right here. Now, you're also going to see the layout. Now, again, I'm going to talk about the machine control in our next webinar here, but with layout, we're able to again, store these files here within docs, whether it's the fire protection, mechanical, what have you. All of this is version controlled. Each time that we get an updated DWG or an MJF zip file, or we update our point file, and this is a big one that I wanted to talk about here as well, because what happens when that office personnel, what happens when the field personnel, that layout person, goes out to the field and they find a discrepancy in the points? We need to be able to pull that back, analyze that discrepancy in the design, and make a change, right? So for that's where I wanted to kind of talk about what we're going to see with that enterprise connection here, that enterprise integration. Now, before I do that, though, I wanted to talk about actually starting, or essentially utilizing the integration. Where do we find it, right? So to find those integrations, we typically need to go back to either a project admin or account admin. Okay, typically our account admin is where you're going to see it, and you'll see apps under account admin. Now, a lot of times, guys, you'll go here and you'll see there's a lot of different types of integrations here for the Autodesk Construction Cloud. I'm of course focusing on Magnet Enterprise today, but I did want to go ahead and shout out that you'll notice there are a lot of integrations here through the Construction Cloud to really get your project data, whether you're setting up drones to fly out, or again, we're trying to connect our field to office data. So here's the Magnet Enterprise integration. This is how you would go ahead and essentially activate it. Now you can deactivate it at any point in time, but this is where you would go ahead and activate it. Once this has been activated, you'll go into an enterprise here. Okay, and this is the enterprise system. And what I wanted to talk about here is if you go into Autodesk BIM 360 Docs, the first time that you do this, it's going to pop up with a dialog box asking you for permission to do it. Once you authorize that, you'll be able to access all of your different projects right here. So I can see that 2021 Magnet Enterprise Connection project. Here's my project files. I can dive down through these. I can see the design information, or again, I can get right into my layout. I can see my electrical layout CSV. I can download this, or again, we can push this out. Now, another cool thing that I wanted to talk about here before I get too far into this, of course, are different projects within Enterprise. Okay, these are ways to, again, push and pull information. You can track different users who are connected to that project. And then the other cool thing about this is if we have any connected devices, you'll see those connected devices when I hit show asset on map. And there it is. So I see that Jim here is currently operating one of the FC6000s right here on site. I can actually pull the latitude and longitude. But another cool thing to this is I can actually see those devices in real time. So here we see that Jim is actually out laying out points. I can see each point as he actually creates them and he's moving around. I can see all of these different points and actually get the localization. Just hit this, set me here button essentially, and it's going to take me right to those individual points. And again, as Jim moves around, we're going to see him creating these points in real time. Now, I do want to say, as a note here, you need to connect before they start going out and doing setting up these points. Now, what I do here is I hit start, and as I hit start, it'll actually, as Jim goes around, here he is on point 140. He's actually placing these points right now here at our Topcon location in Olathe. So we're seeing that data populate again in real time from this device. So in that sense, we start again connecting or bridging that gap between the work that's happening in the field and the design data that needs to go out to those individuals, or even just tracking what's going on in those different projects. So again, we have those real time, we have our connected devices, we have our projects that can store, push and pull information, and we have this awesome connection with BIM 360 Docs, okay, or Autodesk Construction Cloud document management, okay? So you're gonna see, again, in real time, he's actually going around and making these points. And again, I can click on any one of these points and I can pull the information from it as he's going through and doing these. All right, so that's one part of it, right? Enterprise is great, and a lot of times I think of Enterprise as a common data environment for a lot of our hardware. Now, of course, hardware works off of software as well, right? So this is where we got to have that conversation of, again, bridging that gap between those different types of software to really be able to beneficially use our hardware, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and navigate just over here for a second. Thank you so much, Jim. That was awesome, sir. So I'm going to bring up magnet field layout here really quick. Magnet field layout is something, now I'm utilizing this on my computer, obviously, but a lot of times we can also utilize a tablet or an FC for something like this. Now, where you'll see the connection, I'm actually connected currently to Magnet Enterprise, and you'll see that here. Once you connect to Magnet Enterprise, I can go right into my jobs and connect to the Enterprise Cloud. Now, at first, it was wanting to go to my company inbox. You can see that if I have any files sent to me, I can grab those, or I can connect right to my project. So I can go right into the ACC connection. I can see myself and Jim working in that project. Or again, this is where that connection to BIM 360 Docs also comes through. So I can connect right here, right to my project files, scroll down, find my layout files, and I'll just go ahead and grab my electrical layout here. At this point, I could grab my DWG and my CSV and go ahead and download those. But because I have an MJF zip file, I've already got that data essentially zipped in here. So I'm just going to download that file. Once I've got that file downloaded, I can go ahead and open it. And I'm going to say, you know what? No, I don't need to keep an original. Once I have that open, I can go right into my plan. And there it is. My 2D as well as my 3D drawings, right? My model lines, as well as any of the point information automatically comes right here. So that's awesome, right? Now, again, if we make any changes to those points, if we update this information, this is a two-way street. Now, in saying that, we can grab information where as we're making information here, we can save this back. Now, if you're asking about the CSVs, yes, we can actually push these points and our points lists right back out and update that CSV that is stored here. Let me get back to my project real quick. But it's being stored right here in our Autodesk Docs or ACC or the BIM 360, okay? Now, to really kind of talk about that a little bit, I did set up a connection here in one of my projects, and you'll see that we can actually push. So you can push information right from Enterprise directly back into Docs. Okay, so again, if that has been updated, you don't have to do the MJF zip file, obviously, but if you update a CSV with different points and we need to pull that back into the design to do that deviance analysis, we would be able to utilize that V1 or that V2, excuse me, to do that analysis. Now, the other nice thing about this is you're going to be able to see the versioning, again, for no matter the file type, whether it's a CSV, it's a DWG, you are able to go ahead and do a comparison between those two when they do update. So if you're curious about what changed between one or the other, and this is another thing that I really like about the Construction Cloud, they actually have a direct integration with the Microsoft Office products. So our CSVs, our Word docs, PowerPoints, things like that, you can open them right from Docs here, and actually doing that that analysis or that comparison between the two versions is going to show you the differences here in the Excel spreadsheet. Now, again, we would want to take that back into Revit, and then we could go ahead and do our deviation analysis or what have you from there. Okay, now the connection here, I wanted to kind of talk about this in a sense of you're going to see the capability to connect with multiple projects at one time across, the globe, essentially the United States, throughout the whole world. And that information from those devices, again, is updating our information here within Enterprise. So the connection of these two common data environments, enabling us to get that data out to the field, enabling us to pull data from the field, because that's really another huge piece of this. We got to make sure that the documents or the information that is coming from any of those magnet products is going to be able to come back into Docs. And that's this integration between Enterprise and ACC or BIM 360, again, is really full circle to do that. Now I see we have some questions popping up here. Oh, my mic is okay. Did anybody have any other questions for us at this point?
No questions at this time.
All right. So with this integration, what I wanted to focus on today was connection, okay? Really connecting your teams through, whether it's your design teams, your construction teams, your layout teams, connecting them all through the integration, connecting those workflows, connecting the data that actually needs to go full circle, okay? So I'll open this up and say that in conclusion, we're working to bring the office and the field workflows together through an integration between the common data environments of Autodesk Construction Cloud and Magnet Enterprise. This enables us to get quick data access to our field teams. Version control is going to give us that peace of mind. And again, it's really enabling that communication from office to field.